Hi, I'm Jim Lowenstern. This is the Exponential Files. I've got a really great guest this week. I have Dan Beer, and he is one of the team leaders with, well, you say the name of the team. It's Whistle Beer, right?
Whistle Beer Group.
Whistle Beer Group. Okay. With eXp Realty. I should mention that as well. And let's just start at the beginning. How long have you been in the business? Why did you decide to go into real estate in the first place? And how long have you been with EXP? And we'll talk about the team after that.
Well, I've been in the business for 20 years and I got in the business because I just hated my previous job. So the same very low level reason that so many people do get into real estate is we were a bunch of people that didn't like what we did previously. And I
What
joined
did you do
I
previously,
was
if
a
I can ask?
financial accountant, and so I couldn't really sort out why I would show up and go to work if I was going to get paid, regardless of if they even knew I had shown up, regardless of if I was just searching the internet all day long and working or not working. It was a big corporate 500 company. It was very easy to go unseen for weeks at a time. And it was very hard to connect what my actual contribution was to any kind of result. And so it just was something that I wanted to get away from. I quit 7 months in. I went and ended up working in a manufacturing plant in Tijuana with my father, who was in the clothing and textile industry. He um he and
The sh
I or
the
I joined him
schmati
in
the schmati business.
exactly. I joined them in exactly that. But I like the business, I like the aspects of it, but I didn't like the idea of being in Tijuana every day. It just was not something that I enjoyed. But about that same time, it was 2005, and he was about to sell a home, and it was thought to be very easy at the time to sell houses. Think like kind of like the 2020, 2021 market that we've had more recently. And so I got licensed, sold that house. It was fairly easy, though the market started turning almost immediately after that, and the Great Recession was around the corner. So that was the one and only easy sale I did, but I enjoyed it enough to start to just jump into this full time, and so that's how I ended up here.
So you're in San Diego, and when did you join? Well, where did you work first, and then did you didn't start at EXP? Am I right?
When did I join what? Sorry.
Well, where did you start in the business? And then when did you join EXP?
2005, I started in the business. I joined EXP in 2018.
Okay. Okay. And then when did you start your team?
Started the team in 2010. Though it was a very poor start. It was a false start. It was the 2010 to 2000, let's call it 14 version. I had to start over a few times. And then the Beer Home team, which is now Whistle Beer Group after the Beer Home team merger with Whistle Realty Group. Um, but what people had known as Beer Home team from 2014 through 2025 until the recent merger was, I would say, one continuous effort with just, of course, changes, adjustments, improvements, but not having to start it over from scratch like I did from 2020 to 2014.
So did you start the latest version of the team with EXP or was there a
Oh,
company?
no, I had already started it. I was at Windermere at the time.
Okay. And Windermere is still in business in a pretty large company, right?
Not in San Diego County. They might be in business here in a very minimal way. I'm not sure, but certainly not anywhere near what it was. But they're a Seattle-based company that's definitely in business still, more on a more regional basis in the Northwest.
And then your movement to EXP, that was because of what reason? What did you hear about EXP? How was it described to you back 10 years ago? Oh, well, not
It
7
was
years ago.
described very poorly. So for 2 years, I was hearing about it and not moving. And all that really was being described was people showing me their screenshot of their revenue share. And they
Hmm.
would just put it in my face and say, "Hey, check this out." And some of them were fairly impressive, 20 grand a month and so on. And my reaction to it always was something to the effect of, "Hey, man, that's cool. I don't have a 20K a month screenshot to show you, but what I do have is a $3.5 million business at the time that you haven't said one word about. not one mention of how that might be improved. So you keep your $20,000 screenshot. I'm going to keep my $3.5 million business and we'll each go on our way. That's the way that I viewed this entire thing for a long time, for at least 2 years. It wasn't until my sponsor's name is Curtis Johnson came over, and he was someone that I really admired as an actual business person, his operation, the way he listed houses, his strategy in the real estate business. I was always a huge admirer of it. He's an excellent marketer. So he made the move, and I called him, and I finally understood how I could use this system, this platform for good. And what I understood was, well, first of all, I was already conscious of the fact that I had all my growth to that 3.5 million GCI mark, which ended up being as much as 12 million in GCI. That didn't come till later. That was during my EXP days. But the point is that I had reached a fairly decent level, and I was very conscious of the fact that I had only gotten there through collaboration, through what people had shared with me. So it was through what people had shared, whether it be at conferences, seminars, or phone calls where I'd pick someone's brain for 20 minutes, that I had been able to grow. But that sharing was always at what I would call a cocktail party level, meaning that I got the time I got, and then I was back at my desk trying to sort through how to implement those things, and only to realize, if you've ever done that, if you've ever gone to a conference and heard something you thought you wanted to do and run back to your desk and you realize, like, oh, wait a second, there's maybe 20 missing questions here that I need to fill in order to actually know what I'm doing. Otherwise, I'm gonna have to do a whole bunch of trial and error. And so I was the type that grew anyway, right? Most people are just gonna do nothing at that point. In my case, I still went and did it, but I got to make a lot more mistakes than were necessary because I had to fill those gaps in myself. And even with that system, I still grew. What I saw now when I spoke to Curtis and I understood how I would use EXP is I said, oh, wait a second, these obnoxious $20,000 screenshots that people are showing me. What if I had a screenshot like that, but I didn't use it to show it to people and tell them that they could, join EXP and miraculously retire by next weekend and never work again, and some other hocus pocus story. But what if instead I used my screenshot as incentive to share with others at a deeper level than I had ever been shared with? What if the people I surrounded myself used their screenshot to share with me at a deeper level than I'd ever been shared with? What if we used it to create a mastermind environment that was the one that I'd always wanted to find but couldn't? And would that help our own business grow? As soon as I understood that the answer to that was, well, of course it would help my business grow even faster than it has in the past. Then I thought, okay, and if that's attractive to me, then might that be attractive to others if we invite them to bring their genius to this environment to enhance what we're learning, to all grow faster, and maybe that will be attractive to like-minded people. So that's how Fast Forward Movement was born, which is what I'm known for, along with Kyle Whissel, Mary Maloney, and now, you know, gosh, it's literally 9 out of the top 10 at EXP worldwide, and about
Is
50%.
it just EXP?
Oh yeah.
Okay, so
And
fast
about
forward.
it's
Yeah,
all fast forward move. Yeah, it's our group at EXP, but it's now created it's attracted people that are just simply wanting to have real estate conversations. And the
hmm
promise of fast forward movement is that if we ever invite you to something, if you ever join us at anything we do, you're going to get value out of it, and it has no connection or nothing to do with whether what you ever join us or not. So we're only ever going to invite you to something that you say, Dan, thank you for having invited me. That was awesome. Thank you. Which, if the integrity of everything we do is always at that level, then we have a license to ethically, morally invite anybody to anything. They're going to be happy they were there. The right ones will join. The ones who, I'm not going to say they're the wrong ones. It just might be not right ones today. Will join some other day or never, and that's all going to be fine. But reputationally, we will deliver on that promise. And because that's what we're actually genuinely doing, like literally just for our own growth, then our growth itself will become attractive. And so you get people like Jeremy Larson, as an example, who joins us as a $9 million producer and turns into a $300 million producer, literally. Or a Parker
9 million
Pemberton,
to 300 million. What
documented. 9 million to 32.
What price range is he selling in?
He's in
What's his
San
average?
Jose, $1 million average price point, not very
So
different
he's
from mine.
selling on average 300 houses a year. Is that his
Um,
team or him
you'd
personally?
have to ask him. I don't know if his average is 800,000, million two, 900. I don't know. But the point is, he goes from 9 million to 32, from 32 to 100, from 100 to 200, from 200 to 300. He's tracking this year to over $300 million. And
That's
he's ahead of
incredible.
me, by the way. So when someone's growing like that internally, what happens to the group? The group is smarter. We all level up. That becomes attractive. It brings in the right people. The group gets smarter. It grows. And it's gone on and on, by the way. I'm not cherry picking the Jeremy story. If you've heard me say before, it's just because I love that story. But Parker Pemberton's number one in the company right now. The guy joined us as about a $30 million producer, roughly. He's tracking this year to, gosh, what pace is he on? He's tracking to, I don't want to butcher it, but let's call it to 800 million-ish this year is what he's
Okay,
tracking
but
to.
that's a team. It's not just him
Oh yeah,
personally.
of
Yeah.
course.
Okay. Okay. That makes sense. Yeah.
Well, it sort of makes sense, and sort of also you've never heard a story like that in your life, right? Like you
Uh,
like of someone going from 30 million to 800 million, documented. Literally, you can see it on the EXP leaderboards. You'll see it on Real Trends
oh,
Published. Just an amazing
I've been
thing.
looking lately because I've been in the industry for 43 years. I had 7 offices and 70 agents before I came to EXP. I had never been on Real Trends before pretty much this year. So now I'm paying attention. So all these names are pretty familiar. Fast Forward is just your organization, or can anybody at EXP join, for example? Can I join?
It's our organization that Kyle Whistle, Mary Maloney, and I started, and it's essentially anybody who's come in that we've sponsored or that has come in through any of those people, right? So it's our
Okay.
seven level, so to speak. It's our downline. It's our
So it's
organization.
your personal organization
Correct.
only. Okay. So that would rule me out.
As a current EXP person, yeah, so what you and I can do is, of course, we can co-sponsor people. And so long as and so long as the fast forward movement agent is the primary, then that agent ends up in fast forward movement. And so you're able to actually introduce people to that environment. And we can, something that we're already starting to do for a number of people that see it is that we're becoming their entire retention play. They're saying, hey, everyone that I'm bringing in the future, I'm going to do it through you. So long as that you're a reason, of course, we have to be a reason for them wanting to have joined us or to join EXP, and we become the retention play for them.
Okay. And if an agent who's not in your downline, your organization, brings someone to your organization, do they also get into your organization or still
Well,
no?
what we start to do, it's challenging in that,
Because co-sponsoring is new.
yeah.
You're working it out.
Well,
You
it's
figure.
challenging in that we can only manage at scale what we see in our dashboard. Having said that, if you started partnering with someone like myself or someone like Parker, like Tina, like Jeremy, like I mean anyone in the organization, doesn't anyone. I'd actually rather it not be me so that others are growing. Then what happens is when you're doing that, let's say we have our next event, like the one that's coming up at EXPCon, and we have an event coming up. Fast Forward does its own side conference and its own party and all that. Well, you can then be a part of that. All we ask is that you're a part of that because you're inviting somebody, and that anybody that you invite gets co-sponsored. And so, no, we wouldn't want EXP agents at random to use our events for their own gain and not include Fast Forward. If you're selling Fast Forward, then co-sponsor with Fast Forward.
Okay. So let's talk about the merger. So that's big enough news that it ended up in my news feed from Inman, and just just walk me through how did two teams merge, for example? How did you figure this all out? Because this is Does this go back to your days as an accountant? Did you have to go
No,
back that far to
no,
have the
no.
knowledge?
How most of everything happens on a technical basis, the database merger, right, or the bringing two big databases together into one, the operational systems, the transaction and listing management, all of it is way beyond my pay grade, and it's our really, really talented executive team that handles
Are
those
you in the
details.
same downline or totally separate sponsors and
So Kyle Whissel, who's the co-founder of Fast Forward Movement,
hmm
I officially sponsored him, even though we're partners in that business. But so yes, like
okay.
we're in the same
So
group
that made
in
it a
Downline.
little easier.
Not really, no, that would have been irrelevant in my mind. Um, I don't make any team decision based on downline decisions at all. I think one of the oddest things I see EXP agents do is you call someone in Baltimore and say, hey, I've got a great team member for you. I'm going to send them your way. I of course want to be their sponsor. You can be right, but I'm going to place them on your team. If and when that person says, well, no, I need to be their sponsor, I'm like, dude, you never mind. Um, it's such a huge mistake when like Whistle Beer Group is this amazing, powerful team that can help agents grow and sell houses and that supports agents. We don't care who the sponsor is for anybody. So you could be like, we're trying to empower every EXP agent to want to place team members on our team. We'll make the team money. That person can make the downline money. They are two completely different games, completely different businesses, and thinking of it any different, I think is a really short-sighted mistake. It's like
Okay.
imagine a team leader saying, "Oh, I don't want the 10, 50, 100,000, I don't know how long this person's going to stay on the team, dollars that are going to come in company dollar from this person if they're successful. I don't want that because of the $1,400 I'm not getting. That's stupid."
Right. Right. Well, that's the next question. So, you're probably certainly a mega icon team, correct?
Yes.
So, is everyone on your team capped at 4,000
Yes.
automatically? And they pay 25%,
No.
or is it no?
No, it's 20.
20%. Okay.
What are you talking about? To
So
EXP
the,
or
t
who?
the team
Are you talking about to the
fees,
team side?
right?
Oh yeah, our blended is well more than 25. It's what matters is the blended. So your team members just have to pay a blended rate of at least 25 or more, and ours is significantly more.
Okay.
So we're well beyond the threshold there.
So the value besides obvious training and coaching and the network and the camaraderie and everything that a team has, administrative help and all that stuff. Uh, are you giving them Zillow leads and things like that?
Yeah. We have a very large Zillow Flex account. We have accounts with a number of other what we'll call channel partners out there um, that provide leads at scale. And so our agents have access to that if they're willing to take a certain amount of accountability for how those have to be worked, or we can help support them in growing their own personal business. Of course, all that will pay differently. And so absolutely, we have leads at scale in a very big way that we provide them with.
How's
And it's not just leads, but appointments, right? We're most of the time what we're providing them is an appointment versus a lead.
mhm. So your team is making the calls, nurturing the relationship, setting up
There's
the
different
appointment.
different SOPs for different sources of business, but in some sources of business, yes, that's true. We have an inside sales team that'll do that. And then other sources, they're nurturing their own. And so that it depends on what source that we're talking about.
Are you an EXP luxury team?
We are, yes.
And how is that working to help your team and your sales numbers?
Well, it's great. I mean, a lot of what EXP Luxury does, we used to do it directly through Lux VT, which is what EXP Luxury is, white labeled. And we used to pay Lux VT significantly more. I'm talking like 4 or 5x more per
Of
listing. I mean,
course.
we used to pay them a fortune per listing. Now we just pay our nominal 2,500 bucks or whatever it is for the year, and we get unlimited
Well,
listing.
the team members are under 1,000.
It's a
It's
huge
it's a great
advantage.
deal.
It's a huge, great deal. It's exactly, I mean, we literally used to use it for years and years, but it would cost us, you know,
A lot of money.
not 1,000 for the year or 1,000 per listing.
Yeah, exactly. Plus minimum monthly fees and everything
Yeah.
else. What about AI? What are you doing with that at this point? Or is that just all built into all these systems?
It's built into the technology that our agents use, right? So our marketing teams and our executive teams, we all use it for like personal productivity. I think it can be a dangerous field, not dangerous like the way people talk about it, like it's going to take over the world type of thing. I'm talking danger and making you look like you don't know how to think for yourself because it is very easy for something to look like it was generated by AI. So you have to there's very strong ways to use it, but you could also forget to be, if you use it too much, lean on it too much, and don't do any thinking of your own, it's going to become obvious that you're not doing any thinking of your own. So that's the danger. But the strongest ways in which we use it are really high level, like compute, engineers that we have that layer it into the way that our follow-up boss account works, the way that things work for our agents, the way that leads move through our systems from stage to stage. Um, Really trying to build what Kyle has coined, and I like it, so I'm going to continue to move with it as the push button experience for agents, where things happen in a more automated way for them, where the system understands the context of what happened um, in any particular appointment, in any particular phone call, can understand it, can then move and disposition the lead appropriately. It's all happening see, the way we think of it is from an agent perspective, they don't need to know any of that. From an agent
Hmm.
perspective, their CRM is just very good, very fast, very efficient. What's happening on the back end is a ton of complexity. But for the agent, the experience is sort of like the iPhone, where it's just a few, there's an icon right there. I press it and up comes the app. Well, that was a very simple experience for the user, but a very complex experience, technical experience on the back end that I, as the user, don't have to be aware of.
Right. Yeah, that's where it's going for sure. It's going to help in ways that we never even imagined, and we don't have to because it's taking care of it for us.
Yeah.
Let's talk about EXP overall. How would you explain EXP, or how do you explain EXP to that agent at any other company? And that could even be the companies that are trying to be like EXP. How do you differentiate EXP from, in my mind, EXP would be almost impossible to duplicate or to, I don't think the word compete, but do one better than, because everyone's in competition. I
Well,
just,
yeah,
yeah,
I agree with you that it's impossible from a competition standpoint, but not because someone couldn't copy the model. They could, in theory, they could copy like the majority of it. But we're going to have a human resource advantage that'll you cannot catch us. You could. EXP would have to start doing really, really silly, ridiculous, silly mistakes over and over and over and alienate enough of us over and over and over and over. Short of something like that, you're not going to catch us. I mean, just to illustrate the fact that our top 250 at EXP outproduced the company of Real, and please don't quote me, but I believe the year 2023, year 2023 production are, so these were the 2024 numbers that came out, Real Trends verified. Our top 250 outproduced the company. So that's our top 250. And, fast forward movement, my network that we talked about a moment ago, by transaction count would be the fifth most productive brokerage in the world. It's you're talking over 10 transactions an agent on average. When the average, and that's the fast forward movement, when the average company that we're thinking about, as quote unquote competitors is averaging in the 3 to 4 range. So what happens is we just simply have a human capital competitive advantage, and that's the stuff, right? Like that's the magic to it. We have a phenomenal leader in Leo Pareja. We have a phenomenal visionary in Glenn. But operationally, this company is a world of difference from what it was 24 months ago, 36 months ago in the pre-Leo era. And
Why do
so,
you say that?
well, we're just operationally excellent. Brokerage operations are excellent. I mean, excellent. Things that used to take 20 steps now take 5. Everything is just more. Leo has put a very, very strong his fingerprint on this company in a very strong way, in a very
Well, on
positive
the whole
way.
industry. I mean, when the lawsuits were
Oh
on
yeah,
front page news,
for
he
sure.
was, CNN would go speak to an industry leader. It was Leo.
100%. So we're way out in front from that respect, and it's the kind of thing that you don't want to say you can't be caught, because then you stop trying, you stop innovating, you lose your edge. But if we don't lose our edge, which would qualify, losing it would qualify under what I call, very silly mistakes. Um, then it's just going to be way out in front, right? Like there's been a lot of great cola companies. It's still Coca-Cola followed by Pepsi. There's been a lot of, great car concepts. It's still Uber followed by Lyft. Now Lyft can pass Uber. Uber has to make devastating mistakes. Uber has to, in other words, become like Circuit City, who said, "Hey, we're awesome. We don't have to do anything interesting anymore." Uber would have to become like Blockbuster, who the only reason Blockbuster's not in business isn't
They didn't
because they
buy
had
network. They
no,
didn't buy Netflix when they could have.
yeah, yeah. It's not, they're not in business, not because they had a brick and mortar model, not because they had
They stopped
walk into the
innovating.
video store model. That's not why they're not in business. They were killers. They were doing it perfect. They're not in business because they said, we don't need to change. And so, as
And they
long as,
started at the beginning of the internet and didn't latch on to the internet. I mean, even Netflix was physical discs in the beginning.
yeah, and they
It was,
changed.
yeah.
And
And it wasn't
that's a great
streaming.
point.
Streaming hadn't even been invented yet. They pretty
They used to
much,
send you discs. It was basically Blockbuster saving you a drive. That's
right,
all it was.
right.
And so that's the thing. As long as we don't say, "Hey, because we're number one, we're going to be number one," that's a huge mistake. Because we're number one, we're going to be number one. No, it doesn't work that way. But being that we're number one, being that we have financial advantage over everybody, being that we have no debt, being that we have liquidity to make investments where we need, given that we have a great leader in Leo, in a continuing like very strong visionary in Glenn, given that they keep their head on a swivel and continue to look left and right for what's coming and ahead for where we're going, and as long as that's true, very hard to catch.
And co-sponsoring. That's new in my mind, a little bit of genius. How do you feel that that helps propel the company forward? And how should agents at eXp be using that as a tool for their own growth and the company's growth?
It is a stroke of genius, because you take co-sponsorship was, at least I don't know if Real is the ones that created co-sponsorship, but that's the first place I heard of it, except for what was a very good concept, but had this 10% tax off the top that the company would take for quote unquote administration. And then it was essentially and is still to this day a system of division, meaning if you and I, Jim, were to co-sponsor somebody, we would share the revenue of level one. Well, that might sound fine, but that person might co-sponsor with someone who co-sponsors, and eventually you're sharing half of half of half of half, and it gets very strongly diluted. So we brought this to Leo. said we made a very strong push. We thought that co-sponsorship was very, very important, very necessary, mainly to unite all of us, meaning you and I could suddenly partner on a brand new downline. You and me. Veronica Figueroa, who I always wanted to be in business with, her and I could partner on a brand new downline today. So we thought it was a very important element for those reasons. We brought it very strongly to Leo and to Glenn, but those two wonderful men said, hold on a moment. We're going to vet this out. There's something wrong. There's something missing. This model doesn't make sense. It makes what you're trying to achieve, Dan, makes sense, but the math doesn't make sense. And frankly, I missed it. I was like, I don't care. I want it to happen. And they're like, no, no, we're going to figure this out the right way. And what they did was amazing. That they figured out was how to turn co-sponsorship into a system of addition or multiplication versus one of division, where you keep, or where all that happens is if you become the co-sponsor to someone that I'm bringing in, Jim, you just slide into that first level. I slide up to level 2, and that's it. That's the only thing that happens. You get the full level 1 money. I get the full level 2 money, and on everything they ever bring in, we get the full money for that level. And we're not splitting and splitting a split of a split of a split. So it was genius. It created the web of connection that is
So there's
now
the
making
co
its way through the company.
so pardon me for interrupting. So the co-sponsor gets 6 levels, and
No, the co-sponsor gets 7.
the co-sponsor gets 7. So both sponsor and co-sponsor still get 7 levels.
Co-sponsor gets 7, primary sponsor gets 6.
Okay.
But the primary sponsor brings in the co-sponsor because, you know what, for this person, like I need Jim. Jim's going to superpower this person. Jim, or someone might bring me in and say, Dan's exactly what this person needs. And so if I were to bring you in as co-sponsor, it would be because I say to myself, you know what, the sum of the whole will be so much bigger of my 6 levels that I continue to have versus if I had all 7, but I didn't have Jim laying his genius into, the growth of this person and what's going to come. So the primary actually gets 6 and the co gets 7.
Even though the co starts pretty much on the second level, right?
No, the co becomes the first
The,
level.
the first level. Okay, so I've got co-sponsors now because it's just inevitable. People would say, okay, Jim, I need, like the real estate B schools and my upline. So I want the real estate B school for my agent and so on and so forth. And but it's still a little confusing, even though I'll get it eventually. I'm a little slow on the uptake.
I trust you will.
I get I get the money every month. Not that I'll ever be able to figure out exactly what it's all coming from, but I do realize that the agents are, I don't want to say more cooperative, but they have an incentive to reach out to other agents now and be more cooperative.
They're massively more. It's amazing. It's all changed. It's a very cool thing.
Yeah.
It's all changed. And at the same time, this thing that people throw shade at EXP, like, oh, there's silos or this and that. You're damn right there are. We wake up every single day trying to figure out how to create value for our people. Tell me that's a bad thing.
Yeah. I mean,
You'll never convince me of it.
the company gives us administrative help to the nth degree. And then there's state brokers, multiple brokers in every state and so on. And then the teams. I mean, I've got people on my payroll. They're there all the time to help the agents. So and then the training, paying icon agents with stock to train other agents to become icon agents, basically. That's the culture. That's why I think, and you said it best, it's the human capital. That's hard to beat. So yeah, I was actually introduced to EXP by Glenn basically when there were 300 agents, and his focus was on the technology. I don't think in his wildest dreams he could have seen what the culture would be the most important part. It's not the technology. I think it is the people.
There you go. I love that. It's
Yeah.
always the people. And I think,
So I'll just ask you one more question and I'll let you go. I know you're busy. I'm so happy that you
oh, I'm
joined
good,
me
man.
on the
I just
show.
have to catch a flight
Yeah. What's the goal with the team?
with my
Whistle
team, going back to
team
my
group,
right down here,
whistle
Whistle
team.
Beer Group.
Yeah.
Well, the goal is to create a place for agents of all production levels, even team leaders who found themselves as a team leader, found themselves managing X amount of people and not really enjoying it, who used to make a lot of profit and are now really bogged down with everything that has nothing to do with selling houses and making money. Um, that happens for a number of reasons. One of the primary reasons is we end up at conferences or seminars and we hear or we just, we listen to a podcast and we listen to someone talking about being a team leader and we think that's just the natural next thing. And it turns out that's an entirely separate everything from what made us really successful making a lot of money as agents. I mean, I know of people making near $1 million a year who go and turn into team leaders and their income is cut in way less than half. The business itself actually doesn't make money or loses money. They think they're making money, but they're making that money as an agent. The time spent as a business operator is not making money. And so there's this commingling that's typically happening and hiding issues of the difference between my income as a producer versus my income as a business owner. And then you could even throw revenue share in there, and that's even a third bucket that people are mistaking for business operation, or right, or net, or for net operating income on the business. So anyway, we're building an organization, a company that can help everybody get back to what makes them happy.
I guess I have one more question. Could you see Whistle Beer being a publicly traded company operating on the EXP platform? If that was
Not
even a
something I've ever,
possibility.
not something I've ever pondered. I don't even know how that would work from a structural standpoint. I have no idea if that's a
Would
possibility or
EXP
not.
even allow it? That's the other question
I
I
have no
had.
idea. My mind's not there. My mind isn't just let's grow what we're growing, but we're going to now, there was the small teams, then there was the mega teams. Now the mega teams are getting larger, 100 agents or so, and we believe the future is going to be a smaller amount of team leaders leading super teams of 400 or 500 agents that have access to corporate level, enterprise level lead accounts from the Rockets of the world and the Zillows of the world and the various banks and REO and whatever comes down the pipe. And then we could provide all of that at scale with basically getting the agent to where they don't have to think about much other than the aspects of this business that make them happy. And so we're going to be we're a life raft for a lot of people. And that doesn't mean a life raft for people that were like struggling. No. I mean, we're in a conversation right now with $100 million plus producer who makes multiple millions of dollars a year, but spends a lot of time in areas of this business that particular person, I'll even keep gender out of it to not give any clues as to who this is, um, makes this person miserable and is saying, "Will you guys take this aspect of like, can you get that off my plate, please, so I can get back to being happy?" So that's what we're up to.
Okay. All right. Well, we'll leave
Appreciate
it
you,
on
Jim.
that note. Thank you.
Thank
Dan
you.
Beer, the co-leader of the Whistle Beer Group. Thank you so much,
All
Dan,
right,
for
brother.
coming
Thanks a
on.
lot.
This is the Exponential Files. See you next week. Jim Lowenstern. Bye-bye.